Are you ready to leave your parents and go to the kids club? Here.
Go down this slide.
It is Sunday, May 2nd, 2021, and on this week's edition of Sunday Sofatime, we're talking all about the brand new Disney Wish cruise ship. Hey everybody, I just started editing this together, this first video with my new camera, this one, and I realized I definitely will have to use the external microphone that I always use with my Canon camera, my DSLR camera. The audio is really not very good in this situation. So just want to let you know this is one time that you'll have this audio, and next week we'll have better audio. Back to the video. Welcome back everybody. I'm here back in front of the sofa and I am filming with another new camera. What? The last time I was sitting here was right before I left on my most recent cruise on the AIDA, what was the name of that ship? It's early and the cat kept me up all night. AIDA Perla cruise ship, and I had just bought myself a new camera for my birthday. I ordered the Canon G7X Mark III, and I had heard that it had some autofocus issues. A lot of like the videos when the camera first came out, everybody was complaining about the autofocus, but then there was a firmware update and I hadn't seen a lot of like those complaint videos since then, and I loved really just about everything about that camera. So I ordered it, I tested it out for a day and realized, okay, yeah, autofocus, not cute. And so I ended up not taking it on the trip with me, wanting to send it back, and that turned into a whole ordeal with horrible customer service from Canon. I talked about it in the most recent video over on my second channel, Guten Morgen. So check that out. It's youtube.com/Guten. G-U-T-E-N-M-O-R-G-A-N. That'll take you to it. Or of course, there's a link in the description below. So I ended up just sending that camera back yesterday, and then I got this one. It's the Sony ZV1, and this is the first video, the first official video I'm making with it. I tried it out yesterday, and so far,
I like.
All right, just a couple days ago, when you see this, Disney made a big announcement. They put over half an hour video online showcasing their brand new coming cruise ship, the Disney Wish. And actually, Marcus and I saw this ship being built last summer. I was gonna say a year ago, but it's not even a year ago. The shipyard where this ship is being built is about a 2.5 hour drive from where we live. And we went there last year more to see the Royal Caribbean Odyssey of the Seas, which was much further along at that time. The Disney Wish was hardly recognizable, but it was there. And now I kind of want to go back just to see what it looks like now. But that would involve renting a car and driving, and I don't know, should we do it? And I guess most people assumed that this was going to be, I mean, it looks a lot like the other Disney ships, and most people, I guess, were assuming, okay, it's going to be pretty much just a clone again, but Disney's flipping some things up, and we're gonna talk all about them in this video. So in this half hour virtual press conference, we see a lot of the ship, we see a lot of Imagineers talking about the ship. It was very much like an Apple press conference, you know, where every new face that comes on the screen says, and I'm so excited to show you this amazing new ship. Coffee machine's shutting itself off. We'll wait. Are we done? Thanks. And one thing I want to say about the entire video that was very evident is that they constantly mentioned that this is a ship for families. And of course, that shouldn't surprise anybody. We know Disney is like world-class family entertainment. It's one of the goals, like one of the core goals that Walt Disney had way back when he built Disneyland, is he wanted to create a fun place that parents, that like all generations could enjoy together. And so they did very often mention things that were for the entire family, but you know, from my one Disney cruise back on the Disney Dream in 2020, I was shocked at how many areas on the ship are adults only, and They did have adults only stuff on this ship as well, or they will have that, and we're gonna talk about those too. So anyways, I just wanted to mention that if you go and watch this whole video, just count how many times they mention family. Make it a drinking game and end up in rehab. One of the first things that stuck out in my head as far as like things on the ship is, you know, the Disney Dream and other Disney ships, they have these like Aqua Blaster water slides where you sit in a boat and it kind of pushes you up and down. It was very innovative when it first came out, you know, the first like clear tube water slide over the side of the ship. Nowadays, tons of ships have those. The AIDA Perla that I was just on has 2 of them. But the fact that it was a clear tube, like over the side of the ship, and well, it's not really over the side of the ship, but you know what I mean. And it's a master blaster, so the only water coaster on a ship. I don't think, does any other cruise ship yet have a water coaster, you know, where you go up and down? I don't think so. Disney must have paid a ton of money to stop that company from building them on other ships. So the Disney Wish will have this as well, but it is going to be a much bigger, and from the artwork, it looks like a much more thrilling version. And they're calling this the first Disney attraction at sea, which I think is maybe a little exaggerated. The aqueduct on the Disney Dream is, you know, a water slide. You wait in line, and I mean, of course, it does have sort of, it's a very Disney Mickey Mouse theming, and there's a cool ring around the entrance that lets you know when you have to go, but there's no story. You're not seeing any characters, and somehow they are adding a story with Mickey and Minnie and the famous Disney characters to this water slide experience. And when you look at the artwork, you can see 2 things. One, it looks a little bit like Runaway Railway at Hollywood Studios in Florida, and the lift hill, the beginning of it is very long and it's entirely enclosed. So somehow they're going to be adding effects in there, and enough effects that they feel like they can call this an attraction. So an attraction for me, you know, is like Rock and Roller Coaster, Space Mountain, Tiki Room, you know, those are like Disney attractions, and I guess Aqueduct is just a water slide, and this is gonna be somehow different. So I think that's really cool. You know, one thing that I really wish they would do on the Disney ships when they're talking about adding attractions is they have these amazing theater venues, the normal like musical theater venues, and then the movie theater venues. And I don't know why they can't show, you know, like on certain days in the movie theater venues, why they can't make that into Honey, I Shrunk the Audience or into Muppet Vision. I don't know why they don't do that. It seems like it would be so easy, but
they don't listen to me.
The next thing that they went on to talk about and showcase was something I already mentioned, and that is the adult areas on the ship. So on the Disney Dream, like the adult only sun deck and pool and lounge area is way at the front of the ship. And it looks like on the Disney Wish, it's going to be at the back of the ship. And they showed something that I just saw on the AIDA Perla that I've never seen on a cruise ship before, and that is infinity edge pools that are like glass. So when you're swimming in the pool, if you go underwater, you look out and you can see, you know, like out. I feel like I didn't explain that very well. If you think a Disney cruise is just for people with kids, it ain't. Okay, moving on to something that I think is really cool, but I also think probably is not gonna end up working out. I'm just really curious what you think of it, but before I get to that, please forgive me for putting a little commercial break right here. Did you get one? What was it about? Write it in the comments below. Okay, it shouldn't surprise anybody that Disney offers probably the best kids club experiences on any cruise, on, you know, any place, anywhere. It would be like a dream to go to one of these kids clubs and be visited by, you know, Spider-Man and Elsa and Anna. Amazing. Kind of makes you want to be a kid again, doesn't it? And so one thing that one innovation that they announced for this ship is that there's a secret tunnel directly from the main, you know, like lobby, the grand entrance area. There's a secret tunnel slide that goes directly to the kids club. My first impression is, okay, that's a really cool idea, but, you know, you can't like see where it goes. So I'm just thinking about how like 10-year-old Morgan would have experienced this. You know, you show up on, oops, just kicked the light. You show up on a cruise ship, you know, with your parents, maybe it's your first time, you know, the kids club people come up to you and they're like, oh, hi, little Morgan, it's nice that you're here. Are you ready to leave your parents and go to the kids club? Here.
Go down this slide.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I think I would have to be at the bottom first in the kids club and see that this is where the slide comes out in order to have enough courage to go down it. I don't think you'd be able to convince me to just like slide on down into nowhere. You know what I mean? How do you think you would have taken it as a kid? Or if you have kids, do you think your kids would just, you know, be like, okay, bye, and then jump into the slide into darkness? One really cool activity that they're adding to the kids club, at least they made it sound like they don't have this on any of their other ships, is they have like a 3D roller coaster designer thing where you can design your own roller coaster and then ride it in a kind of simulator situation. And of course, that sounds amazing. I wonder, is there any way as an adult that you would be able to try that out? Moving on to the shows, of course, the live shows on Disney were also amazing. Just the highest level, really, really great, like Broadway quality shows. And they announced that they are adapting the Aladdin musical for the Disney ship and that they're developing 2 new original musicals that they didn't really say much about yet. Maybe they're not done, maybe they don't even know yet, who knows? One thing they did mention or like announce is that they're also going to have a show venue in the Grand Hall. So like the big, you know, open lobby area in the middle of the ship. There will be a stage there, there will be live shows happening there. I think that's a great idea, and to tell you the truth, if I remember correctly, some of the shows that they usually do on the pool deck, if it's bad weather, they'll, on the other ships, then they do like a smaller version of the show in that space on the other ships. And so I think it's good that they realized, okay, you know what? Let's just make this into a real performance space and then it's there when we need it. Good way to adjust and adapt Disney. Moving on to another sort of adulty thing. It's a bar that I think looks really cool and it reminds me of 2 other things that I've seen at Disney or on the Disney Dream. I think the bar that we spent the most time with when we were cruising with Disney is called the Skyline Bar. And that was a very new innovation when it came out. The windows are not really windows, they're HD video screens, and every, I don't know, what is it, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you change locations. So it seems like you're at the top of a building, I don't know, in New York, and then it seems like you're at the top of a building in Brazil. I don't remember the exact locations, but they're taking that concept and they're giving it a Star Wars twist, which I think is a great idea. So the bar's going to be called the Hyperspace Lounge, and instead of, you know, changing locations on Earth, you're going to be changing locations in the Star Wars universe. So it's like a mix of Oga's Cantina at Galaxy's Edge and the Skyline Bar on the other Disney ships. Somewhere around that point in the video, one of the hosts said, well, I think it's time to take an R2 detour. And I thought that was really funny. Very corny dad joke, but right up my alley. I'm just looking at my list here. From then they went on to talk about the adults only dining again and also mention the spa and how great it's gonna be there to relax. And I can just tell you, we went to the spa on the Disney Dream and we did not leave relaxed. I know most of you know why, but if you don't, it's because the massage was incredibly overpriced and then they gave us super high pressure sales pitches at the end, and I almost felt like they were blocking the door and not gonna let us out until we bought some kind of product. I will never, ever go to the spa on a Disney ship again, unless I win the lottery. Okay, from there, they moved on to the cabin designs and they updated them, I think, on just about every cruise ship before that. The cabins are very similar with a very similar color scheme, very similar design, and we really didn't have any major complaints about the cabin we had on the Dream. It was very spacious, very high quality stuff in it. Of course, there was that mysterious stain on the couch. Remember that? But I really like the new design that they showed, especially the shower area, the bathroom areas just look a little bit more wide and open. That was one thing I understand why it's designed like that on the Dream, that they have like the washing area in one room and then the toilet area in another room. You know, that makes a lot of sense for families, but by splitting them up, you make both of them small. And I just feel like having a larger bathroom space, I don't know, for me, that would be my preference. With the Morgan approved bathroom door, please. Another really cool thing they showed in the video is that above the kids' beds in the ceiling, there's gonna be like a light feature, you know, like with LEDs and sparkles and stuff like that. And I just wonder, are they gonna have the same thing underneath the top bunk? Because we all know as a kid, you always wanna be on the top bunk, and the kids probably always fight over who gets to be in the top bunk. And so if the top bunk kid also has this amazing light feature above them, that just ain't fair. And so they better have something special for the kid in the bottom bunk too. Don't you think so? You know what I mean? Okay, we're gonna move on to talk about the suites and then also some special dining experiences. Disney cruises are expensive. They are not for people with a small budget. For the price of like a 5-day Disney cruise, you could do 2 weeks on Carnival or, you know, 1 week in a suite on Royal Caribbean. Disney is expensive, but you get a lot for that money. I'm not saying that it's not worth it. It's just a lot.
Expensive.
And now they're announcing even more expensive cabins. They've designed these, what did they call it? I don't remember what the name of the suite is, but they're saying it's the first ever 2-level suite on a Disney ship, and it has a grand spiral staircase. And I can't imagine how much those suites are gonna cost when bookings finally go online. Let's take a look at it, and should we guess? Let me know in the comments below how much you think a 2-level suite with a grand spiral staircase on the Disney Wish for like a 5-night cruise is gonna cost. I'm saying at least $10,000, probably more. Yeah, also something I know I probably will never see in person, but I'm sure somebody will be able to make a video for us, so thank you to whoever you are in the future. Okay, final thing I want to talk about before we get to comment on your comments is they mentioned that they're updating also the dining venues and the dining experience. This is something also very innovative that Disney created. They have 3 main dining rooms, and then you have a schedule of which dining room you are at on which night. And even though you go to different venues, you have the same wait staff in every restaurant. It has pluses and minuses, and it's just something really interesting. And most of the other Disney ships have all the same restaurants or very similar restaurants, and they are totally switching it up. And I wanted to talk about 2 of them. One of them is called the Arendelle Frozen Dining Adventure. Ooh. So they make this sound like it's gonna be kind of like a dinner show where the characters from Frozen show up and have some kind of performance while you're eating. They also mentioned that they're gonna be serving frozen food. Can you imagine though? Imagine you go to the restaurant and it's really literally blocks of ice with peas in it or something like that. That would be hilarious. The other thing they mentioned was a Marvel cinematic dining adventure, and also seems like the characters of Marvel are gonna be, the superheroes, the Avengers and everything are going to be part of this experience. And of course, on first impression, it sounds like, yeah, that, like I said, you get so much for the price of a Disney cruise. But let me ask the parents out there, is it a plus or a minus to have a bunch of, things happening while you're trying to get your kids to eat dinner? I can't really judge it. I don't know if that's a good thing that there's a ton of distractions while dinner is being served, or if it's not a good thing. And one thing that does pop into my head right now though is, I know that dinner time is a time where a lot of kids are already crabby, especially if they're hungry, especially if it's, getting close to bedtime. And I know from my experience on our Disney ship, and on so many ships, but let's just focus on the Disney ship, that there was a lot of meltdowns, a lot of crying kids being carried out of the dining room. And I just think, when it's just a meal, then if your kid has a meltdown and one of the parents has to take the kid out during it, then it's not like you really missed much. But if it's a show, if one of the kids has a breakdown before Elsa shows up and, freezes the restaurant or whatever, that's really that's a big disappointment, you know what I mean? So I guess it kind of has pluses and minuses, but we'll have to see what it's really like. And I'm not complaining about it. I just a point of discussion, you know? And there it is. That was the information about the Disney Wish. And there's more in that long video, but these are the points that I picked out that I wanted to talk about with you today. As always, really curious to hear what you think of it. And now we're gonna move on to the time on Sunday Sofa Time where I comment on your comments live on air. In last week's Sunday Sofa Time, I had just gotten back from the Perla cruise and I did a live stream, which I really enjoy doing. And these comments are about the things I talked about in that video. And the first one is from Julie B. She writes, do you want to research how the picture logo near the bow of the ship correlates to the level of social norms of the passengers? So what Julie is talking about is I noticed on the AIDA that I still can't figure out how to say it in a way that wouldn't be perhaps a little bit offensive to some people. But I just noticed that the clientele, or that there was a lot of clientele on the AIDA that I didn't see on the other cruises I've done recently. You know, a lot of people with slogan t-shirts like beer goes in, arrow up, beer goes out, arrow down. Julie says that she thinks it might have something to do with like the artwork on the front of the ship, which is like big kissy lips, that maybe that attracts that kind of crowd. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's always like that on AIDA or maybe it was just this cruise. I'll have to do another one to find out. I'm getting a message here on the camera that says tracking cancel. I don't know what that means. Am I still in focus? Looks like it. Next question or next comment is from Jackie Hydorn. Jackie writes, were the whales you saw pilot whales? I've read that they like that part of Africa. Thanks for the information. Yes, Jackie, I'm pretty sure that that is what they were called. While on the Perla, I did some really cool excursions that I'm really looking forward to showing you. And one of them is I went out on a great big catamaran and we saw whales and dolphins in the ocean jumping around, playing around. And I mentioned that the whales that we saw looked like dolphins, and I think that's what they were called, is pilot whales. That video is going to be going online sometime in the next couple of weeks, and like I said, I'm really excited to share it with you. I also overcame a big fear of mine and went swimming in the open ocean and felt really good. Doesn't mean I'll do it again, but I'm glad I did it once. Final comment is from Clement NG. Can English speakers cruise with AIDA or is it only for German speakers? I don't know if there is an official rule against people who cannot speak German cruising with AIDA. I know on a former or in a earlier video, somebody here in Germany mentioned that on Mein Schiff, they have a rule that at least one person in the cabin has to speak German, which I can understand. That makes sense. You know, all of the announcements on board are made in German. All of the paperwork that comes to your cabin is in German. I think if you're an experienced cruiser, you're gonna know how to take care of things anyways. And you know, the wait staff in the restaurants, most of them are not from Germany anyways. They're from, you know, the countries that are usually working on cruise ships. And so all of them learned English before they learned German anyway. So, you know, ordering food, ordering drinks and stuff like that, that's not gonna be a problem. It's the announcements and especially the excursions that would be a problem, you know, at the moment. And, you know, there's no end in sight right now. The only way you can leave a ship during a cruise is to book an official excursion, and they're treated like grade school field trips. You have to stay with the group. There's somebody at the front, somebody at the back, making sure that you have no, you know, contact with external people, and they're all in German. And I'm sure that the guide is not going to say things in English and German if there are one or two English-speaking people in the group. I would feel really embarrassed to request that. So I think technically you can if you would want to. I don't know, you know, that's up to you. And of course, at the moment you would have to prove that you've been in Germany, like in quarantine for at least 2 weeks before you take the cruise. So I think kind of complicated, but I know also from, I think even just last week we talked about this in the live chat, that somebody who lives in someplace in the Caribbean booked an AIDA cruise and said they had a great time, and they don't speak German, so yeah, I mean, it is possible. Thank you everybody for spending this part of your day with me. Remember, it helps to press thumbs up, to write any kind of comment. The secret word is slide. We talked about the new water slide. We talked about the slide into the kids club.
Go down this slide.
Put the word slide someplace into your comments and I'll know you watched until the end. Check out the video on Guten Morgen about this camera and the whole experience I had. And if you want to give me a little extra support, then check out patreon.com/veryunofficial. Patreon members got to see this video a day early. So, you know, that's one of the many benefits of signing up. See you soon.